Who is Slipknot?
What do you mean by that? I don't understand the question. Give it to me again. What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand what the hell you're saying.
Who is Slipknot?
I don't understand what the hell you're saying.
Hi folks, Dustin from Music the Lifeblood here. Welcome to Vinyl Thursday. So, I've been thinking about doing a Slipknot episode for a while now. I dabble in Slipknot. I think they're a good band. I would say I like more of the stuff that they've done as opposed to less. I think they're a really good band. But for some reason, I just kept thinking about them a whole bunch the last couple months and since I came back from break. And, you know, I would lean in towards doing Volume 3, Subliminal Verses, as an episode, but I like that album a lot. But as I've gotten older, Iowa has just been on my radar more often than not. And as I've moved into adulthood, I've grown this really intense fondness for the album. I just think it's a hell of an album. I think it's a monster, would be the best way to put it. You know, the weird thing for me is that nu metal as a genre, it's never really pulled me in. You know, there's high points, I think. You know, there's bands that do things and albums that I feel pretty okay with coming from that genre, but it's not something I've ever felt, like I said, a compulsion to. It's not something that's drawn me in a lot. I can appreciate those bands, and I even played in a nu metal band when I was younger. And I don't know. For some reason, Iowa doesn't feel like a nu metal album to me. It's strange because sometimes I think Slipknot get tagged with that nu metal label just because of maybe the epoch of time that they went supernova in. I don't always feel like they should be classified as a nu metal band. There's elements, obviously. They have a DJ, lots of samples, heavy on the percussion, that sort of thing. Not a lot of guitar solos. That's sort of the nu metal thing. But to me, they're almost like the first wave of what we would eventually start calling the new wave of American heavy metal. To me. I might be wrong. Who knows? But I think it's something worth thinking about. But, you know, I think Iowa's an important album for a lot of people, young and old. And I think the neat thing about Iowa is that as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that, yeah, this album has had a massive impact on a lot of people. And I think it's one of the trendsetter albums as it relates to everything that came post-millennium, you know, into the new century, new millennium, whatever you want to call it, from 1999 over to 2000 and beyond. It's a pillar album, in my opinion, because it's almost it's a gateway album. I can't think of any other way to describe it. And I think it's a gateway album in the sense that it dabbles in so much stuff and has such a heavy-handed appreciation for what a lot of the guys in the band were really into, you know, up to the point that they formed the band. You know, is it a death metal album? No, absolutely not. But Joey Jordison playing blast beats on this thing would absolutely have gotten a lot of people interested in what's going on in death metal. And in my opinion, rising tide raises all ships. More people being interested in Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, Deicide, bands like that, in my opinion, is a good thing because that allows those bands to maintain traction and to continue to move forward. And I'm not a big death metal guy. It's just not my thing. But like I said, I think this album is a pillar within everything that happened in metal post-millennium. It's an important album, and I just enjoy it. I think it's a good album. I think it's a genuinely great album, and so here we are. It's the Iowa and Disasterpieces episode of Vinyl Thursday.
I'm a box off friend and I'm not dead yet. Got a super dread man with a name to draw again. Like a deadbeat winner, I wanna be a sinner and not a lifeline for the industry killer. I'm killing this man that you don't understand. I'm a suicide body and I'm guaranteed to fucking snap. It's suicidal, it's pornaholic. Breakdowns, obscenity, that's all I wanna be. If you're fine, then I'm sex.
Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about it here because you can find the story behind this album in tons of other places, whether it's articles, interviews, books, documentaries, that sort of thing. The information is out there. But the bottom line here is that there was a lot of strife and turmoil happening within the band around this time. Substance abuse had kicked in. Some of the guys weren't communicating very well, not on good terms. There's just a lot of dysfunction in the air. It was sort of this malaise of fussiness and frustration that was happening. And as it probably should have been, we're talking about a band that was on the cusp of going supernova at this point, and the spotlight was on them. And that's even bearing in mind that we're talking about a band that had a fair amount of anonymity because they're wearing masks. And the internet wasn't in full swing by that point as far as being able to unmask all the guys in the band. We're talking about a bunch of dudes in their 20s and 30s who don't have as much wisdom as what they would have at this point in their career as in now. And that's not easy to deal with. So the strife, I think it makes sense. And it absolutely played into the making of this album.
Completely on fire to start a new record. So we flew home and me and Paul went right into writing. I mean, like instantly. Like, I mean, it's like we didn't even think about like what was happening to the band at the time. So we went right into writing instantly. I mean, there was no break. There's like, no months off, nothing like that. And we just became anti everything. It's almost like we didn't like what was happening to us. So a lot of the hatred and the heaviness that you hear on that record is so genuine, because we were going in a different direction because we were making everything heavier. Everyone expected us to go commercial, because the band was getting bigger. We're like, F that, we're going completely the opposite way. But the thing is, that wasn't necessarily our thought at the time. That was just what was in our hearts. We're just like, we're not giving in to anybody. We're playing for ourselves. That was pretty much it. And I was just like, the way this material's turned out, we're just going to call it Iowa because that's where we grew up and this is where the music came from.
2001 was an odd time culturally here in the United States. We're still coming out of the fog of the Bill Clinton sex scandal, all of that bullshit. And then we had just had a presidential election in November where we didn't know who the fucking president was going to be for weeks and weeks and weeks on end after the actual day of the election. And it created this air of irritability. I don't really know how else to describe it. It was a frustrating time because everybody was looking around going, what the fuck? Constantly. So why am I bringing all this up? Context is important. Timeline is key. I think at that time, we had an entire generation of young people that were just crossing the threshold into feeling disillusioned with the world that they were seeing unfold around them.
I don't never blame any of those kids for, almost wanting the band to fail because they've had it done to them so many times by all these other bands. Bands do that to their fans constantly. It's almost like it's such an insult to their intelligence because these kids are smart, man. They're not stupid. And when you touch something in someone, why would you ever want them to change? And we will not do that to them.
And it manifests in different ways, whether it's parents not understanding why you're dressing the way you are, or a mainstream media news cycle, 24 hours, that's purporting to have your best interests in mind as they're delivering these messages to you, but it doesn't appear that they have your best interest in mind. And it's still that way to this day, and especially for younger Generation Xers like me, that's been a carryover into adulthood as we've watched the death of that old media, a very slow and agonizing and irritating death of that old media. It's still kicking. You can see that's a testament to how much momentum it truly had at one point. But disillusionment is universal in some ways when it comes to young people. Angst, frustration, anger, all that stuff. So when you have a band like Slipknot with a singer that's screaming things like, "You are wrong, fucked, and overrated. I think I'm going to be sick and it's your fault." Of fucking course, that's going to ring true with all of those young people. Yeah, that's going to ring a bell with them.
Shadow skin, I get banged with pain. I'm on the trails of my arms with your disdain. Every day is the same. I love you, hate, but I guess I don't care anymore. I'll fix my problems with no blame. While my eyes stare from blue to gray. And the worst thing happened to me today, but I guess I don't care anymore. You are all fucked and overrated. Think I'm gonna be second, it's your fault. This is the end of everything. You are the end of everything. I never slept since I woke up and found my whole life was a lie, motherfucker. This is the end of everything. You are the end of everything. Life.
And when a band rings your bell that way, of course, that's going to be a beacon of positivity for a lot of those young people. And then on top of that, to have members of the band telling you, yeah, you're important. Come on. Of course. That's a no-brainer.
0 and 0 is nothing but 0. And cancer and people conspire together. Running and running and going forever. Collected and sampled, stopping for 0. Come see my cage, built in my grave. Come see my cage, built in my grave. Come see my cage, built in my grave. Come see my cage, built in my grave.
The album was released in August of 2001. The combination of the band's anger, frustration, and dysfunction, on top of the fame and notoriety that comes along with being in an enormous band. And then you hand that over to nu metal's production overlord, Ross Robinson, to batch cook all of those things into this burst of viciousness that Iowa is. It took off like a Polaris rocket into space. And then this happened.
Building
Another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on this shot.
Oh my!
Something else has
You know what?
and
We
that
just
looks more
saw a
like
plane circling the
747.
building.
I remember that day very well. I was at work. I worked at a McDonald's in the hometown that I grew up in. I was taking out the trash, walking across the parking lot, and one of the older dudes that hung out in the lobby in the morning came running out and said they hit the Pentagon. And I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Walk inside, and everybody in the restaurant, we were all standing around a TV that we had in the atrium out in the lobby, just watching what was happening. And I remember thinking to myself, this might be one of the worst things I'm ever going to see in my lifetime. You know, it had the same impact that the Kennedy assassination had for a lot of people from that generation. You don't forget stuff like that. You just don't. And I don't think you should. It should be something you carry with you because it's important to remember tragedies because it gives us perspective, you know, during times when life might throw its worst our way. You need that perspective. Doesn't make it right. In fact, it's nothing but awful. That's one of the worst things that's ever happened to the United States, period, end of story. And I went home. The boss said, go home. So I spent the rest of the day watching the coverage and just trying to wrap my head around what was going on. And I went to bed that night thinking to myself, things are probably going to be different tomorrow. And they were. You know, beyond the sense of, for lack of a better term, togetherness that happened in the wake of 9/11 here in the United States, there was also a massive, massive wave of anger that came along with that as well. It was a charged environment. It was in the air at that time. And Slipknot was going to be one of those bands, among others, not just Slipknot, that were going to provide a conduit to be able to constructively release some of that anger. And good God, did they do it with several exclamation points. Became a lightning rod for channeling all of that negative emotion. And when you have Corey Taylor writing prose in a way that allows the band to be the kettle that's letting the steam out, and you hear something like, the noise is so damn loud, but everything else is just dust and sound, that's going to reverberate. That's going to echo. There's going to be a fractal effect of that's just going to blow out into the culture of all those young metalheads, and boom. No other way to describe it. Just the boom of this massive release of frustration. That's a good thing.
Too tragic to stay with you, too static to try for you. These scars they swallow hard, the part of the past that's hollow and dark. Too horrid to kill for you, too sordid to die with you. Unstable as always, calm down. Everything else is just dust and sound. Samurai, I lost my only way. Samurai, I've lost my only way. Samurai, I lost my only way. Say the shine, broken and thrown away.
Musically, they tread into much heavier territory than what the predecessor, the self-titled album, did. But it feels natural in that regard. I don't think it feels forced at any point on the album. Occasionally you get that from bands where, what the hell are you doing? This is awkward and cringy sometimes. I'm not naming any names. But is it their heaviest album so far? Yes, I think so. But I think the caveat to that is I think they've got another one in them. And I think if this change within the lineup, especially with the addition of Eloy drumming, yeah, I think there's another one in there. I think we're going to get another uber heavy album. Or at least that's what I hope for. Because I don't know. Just seems like the right thing to do in that regard. Is it their best album? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to figure that out. Probably going to have to wait until they call today and there's no more albums to release. But as of now, I think it's a pretty damn strong contender, for sure. But bottom line, I think Iowa is a testament to how much of a behemoth, a juggernaut, a freight train that this lineup of the band truly was.
Pull your hands away. I'm gone. Goodbye. It's so depressing. I'm withering away. Take a look inside. My soul is missing. All I have is dead, so I'll take you with me. Feel like I'm erased, so kill me just in case. I feel like I'm erased, so kill me just in case. Don't kill me just in case. Everything around me's mine. Can't see the stars in my eyes. I'm not about to pay it. I'm not about to pay. Splurging and quiet all the way. You won't let me fucking stay. I'm not about to pay it. I'm not about to pay it. Is there another way to live? Cause it's the only way to die. I'm not about to pay it. I'm not about to.
Standout tracks. First, yeah, it's obvious. People equal shit. It sets the tone for the rest of the album musically. It's got all the necessary Slipknot isms, all that percussion, great guitars, heaviness, chugging, samples and turntables flying around in the tornado that is this song. And then on top of that too, it's a sing-along. Or scream-along, if you will. Metabolic always strikes me as an underappreciated gem in their back catalog. Lots of syncopated riffage, Sid sprinkling stuff throughout the song. And then the breakdown on the back half of the song is genuinely dynamic. Plague goes full on lyrically indulgent, but I'm okay with it. I think when you gotta let it out, you gotta let it out. It is what it is. No gripes from me. It's got that great drop tuning. To me, it sounds like drop A. I'm not 100% sure if that's what they use, but that's what it sounds like to me. I might be wrong. Could be wrong. You never know. Great percussive choices, too. I think that's one of the true assets when it comes to the makeup of the band. They don't overdo the percussion because it would be very easy to do that, especially with a band that's playing aggressive music. You can't cram every single composition you have front to back with this wall of drumming, because when you show restraint in that regard, it's what allows those sections of songs where you are going full tilt, freak out drum situation. It allows those to stand out. You know, there's a musical wisdom in that. And then a songbirdy chorus which is awesome. It acts as a good foil to all the screaming that's going on elsewhere in the song. If somebody came to me and said, what's Slipknot like? I'd play them this song. Here, this, My Plague. Listen to this. That's what Slipknot is, because it's a nice little tight package of what the band represents. Sort of that Exhibit A and what makes Slipknot Slipknot.
I don't mind being awkward, ridiculed, made to feel minuscule. When you consider the source, it's got a bit of fall. The only thing you really know about me is that's all you'll ever know.
As far as my favorite song on the album, my guess is that some of you watching this probably went, well, it's got to be the Heretic Anthem, right? It was a good song, for sure. It's a staple in their live set, as it should be. It's a crowd pleaser. I mean, that song's awesome. But for me, the centerpiece of Iowa is Gently. Iowa would not be Iowa without that song. It is the centerpiece of the album. It's the emotional anchor to everything. All points converge with this song. There's a transcendent quality to it in that all of the things that make Slipknot unique, on top of all of the emotions swirling around in this sort of atmosphere of negative emotion and release. This is one of those songs. Now, transcendent, I'm using that word intentionally, for sure. Yeah, for some people, yes, this will be a transcendent sort of song. It'll take you to an emotional place that maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I think the bottom line is that Slipknot is one of those bands you listen to get away, for the escape. Now, whether you're getting away and escaping from the chaotic or the mundane, that's up to you. But here, it's still the escape route of this album. This song, to me, is one of the highest watermarks in the entirety of their catalog. They hit the nail on the head. Now, let's talk about Disasterpieces. It's the live album and movie companion to the Iowa touring cycle.
In the fucking air, London! Here we go! Here we go again, motherfucker! Oh yeah!
November of 2002. Disasterpieces was recorded in February of that same year. I've described Iowa as visceral, and Disasterpieces is the instinctive extension of that. This is the band at its most lethal. The live setting acts as the perfect forum to air their trademark blend of weaponized musical assault and chaos. It's retaliatory in nature, harnessed violence right at the edge of unbridled, taking place before a seizing throng of eager and frothing fans. Disasterpieces is the cinematic documentation of what it meant to be a maggot in that very moment. The movie is mostly the performance, but there's tidbits of the band preparing for the show, road crew getting everything together, and plenty of crowd footage, which to me is indicative of what Slipknot realized early on and has been an asset to them their entire career. They project a sense of genuine appreciation for their fans. Whether it's Joey advocating in their quote-unquote kids' favor in interviews, or all of the footage out in the metal zeitgeist of the band having positive interactions with their fans, you can tell there's a genuine appreciation there. In music fandom, some bands have lackluster approaches to their fans. And then there are other bands that go above and beyond. Their reputations are stellar. The Alice Coopers, AFI, or the Metallicas of the world. Slipknot is one of those bands, especially during this era of heavy music, where the internet hadn't quite eroded the barrier between the fans and bands yet. So how does Disasterpieces hold up in the strata of great concert movies? Maiden's Live After Death, Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii, Motorhead No Sleep Till Hammersmith. To me, yeah, I think Disasterpieces holds its own. This movie documents a band from one of the last waves of arena-level notoriety. The swan song of the old music industry in a way. The time when Megalodon bands walked the earth. Slipknot was there. Standout tracks as far as Disasterpieces go? Well, number one, let's get this out of the way. Do not just listen to this album, watch it. If you don't watch it, you're missing out on half of everything that you can get out of it. The thing to remember about Slipknot, especially during this era of the band, there's 9 unique moving parts, and that in and of itself is a sight to be seen. If you don't watch it, you're missing out on so much that went into the making of this album and the effect and impact that this album will have on people. We're talking about a band that the physicality aspect of the performance is 11. They're one higher than 10, if that's possible. These guys are giving it their all. And I think the thing to remember about that is that bodies break down, bands age. You know, we have diminishing returns as it relates to all of our bodies being able to hold up over time. Now, that's not to say that I don't think Slipknot, they're not giving it their all at this point in their career, because I think they are. They're giving it everything they've got. But when you're in your 20s and 30s, there's certain things you can do that you may not be able to do when you hit your 50s and 60s. And I think it's important that that aspect of the show was documented for this band. So if you want to see the full brunt, everything that aspect of their show has to offer, check out Left Behind.
Taste you on my face. I can hear you
originally appeared on their 1999 self-titled album. But the version that's on Disasterpieces, the live version, is the first one that I came across. So this was the one that stuck with me. Now, when I go back and I visit that studio version that's on the self-titled album, it doesn't feel as fully realized as what Purity feels on Disasterpieces. I think it's one of those times where a band continued to hammer on and hash out the intricacies of a song in a live setting after the fact that it had been recorded. And that's a testament to a band's ability to be ongoingly creative. And I think that's what's really great about this version is it's fully developed. It's not just an embryo of a song, I guess would be a good way to put it. It's the full Monty, the entire growth that's possible with the song. This version, man, oh man, God, it's fucking good. To me, the MVP of Disasterpieces is DJ Sid Wilson. Now, the thing I like about Sid is that obviously he's schooled and rooted in classic hip-hop DJing, scratching, mixing, great rhythmic transitions, his ability to handle break beats and cross-mixing. He's got all of that down, which, by the way, if you didn't know, he does a bunch of awesome solo DJ stuff as DJ Starscream. So if you get an opportunity, go check that out. He's skilled, off the charts in that regard. Now, beyond that, the reason why I think he's the MVP in this situation is that he absolutely gives a kind of a performance that is fully unchecked, unbridled enthusiasm. You can tell Sid wants to be doing what he's doing at all moments on stage. And then on top of that, the dude is not afraid to just dive into the crowd and get his hands dirty in that regard. And I think above and beyond, he's awesome to watch. He's entertaining to watch. I think as a spectator and a fan of the band, I think it's really awesome to see somebody in a band like that. He's never appears to have gotten complacent in a live setting. You're never going to see Sid phone it in. And I don't think anybody in the band phones it in that sense. They're fully committed, but something about Sid, he's the youngest guy in the band, I believe he is by a couple years. And you can tell he's that sort of mascot level for the band. I think he strikes me as the band's biggest fan. He absolutely loves what he's doing. And it comes through in this performance. It's just, the dude is nuts. And it's incredible that we have that level of performance documented. For the sake of pure, overindulgent, unchecked aggression, I think Eeyore is the Slipknot equivalent of doing an 8-ball. Just...
I am the great big man. You am the great big man. Hey, let me see you pump those fucking fists up high. Go to rest, no one's out to say. Didn't gonna kill you. Rest, I don't know both ways, but I'm gonna give it nothing. Stay. When the fun is up, get the fun away. Run if you want to. And then you are gonna contact the dumb backbreaker.
The 1-2 punch of purity into gently is peak Slipknotedness. Don't know how else to say it. I think, again here, Gently is my favorite song off of Iowa, so of course I'm going to be drawn towards the live performance of it. What I think is so great about it is that they were able to recreate the atmosphere and intensity of the studio version and then bolster that in a live sense with the grandiosity and the overwhelming nature of the live show with this poignant, menacing emotional payoff with this song. It just keeps going up. You know, the roller coaster that just clicks up the first hill forever and ever and ever. And then when you finally drop, it's this massive sense of relief. And for me, you know, the song begins to crescendo right around the time that the guitars start ramping up in intensity. And from there, it just takes off. It takes you to this whole other place. And like I said, there's an emotional payoff to the song. This is the band at its aggressive zenith. They do not get more just agonizingly punishing than what they are during this song. It's off the charts. This is one of those times where, should we give them an award for this performance? That's kind of how I feel about this version of the song. Man, Gently is just... This song has so much weight in a live setting.
Get your fucking hands in the air, London! Yes, I will stay here for a while. All I need to break. A break from the prison of life. And everything in the bottom line side. All I need. Yeah. Shut up this one. You better never know it is. No, that's not. That's not. That's not. That's not. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah.
So what's Iowa's and this era of the band's legacy? Well, to me, it's always important to remember that the fondness we have for the music we love tends to increase over time, especially when that music is the soundtrack to significant events in our lives. For some of you, Iowa might be a breakup album. You know, the album you listen to when, you know, your first real girlfriend broke up with you. For others, it might be the album that helped them through the death of a parent. For me, I can tell you that this album channels fond memories of playing in bands when I was young. That's what it makes me think of. To me, that's a good thing. As I get older, that might change. That's the neat thing about the music we love, that there's a fluidity to the way that we enjoy that music. Whether you're in a band or whether you're just a fan of a band, it doesn't matter. Music moves and it changes with us. Those are good things to have in your life. So, what's Iowa's legacy? I think that's up to you. What does it mean to you? I think, bottom line, for me is that regardless of what it means to anybody else, not that it's not important, but to me, this is an album that can make a bad day better. And those are very important albums to have in our lives. Now let's check in with my co-host from Conversations from the Pit, Mr. John Carter. In case you guys didn't know, Carter came up in the Iowa music scene as well. And he had a lot of dealings with some of the guys in Slipknot as far as playing shows and being in bands and just stuff like that. I thought it'd be a good opportunity. Let's see what Carter thinks of Iowa.
Hey everybody, this is Carter from Conversations from the Pit, and I'm going to talk to you about Iowa by Slipknot. I'm from Iowa. I live in Iowa. I've moved back and forth from other places and landed back in Iowa numerous times. So when they named this album Iowa in 2001, I totally got it. So I have actually spent some time back in the day in the 90s playing in bands with guys from Slipknot in their bands. So I got to be friends with Paul Gray, Joey Jordison, Sean Crahan, great dudes. Sadly, we've lost two of them. And when this album came out, I kind of felt that it was a love letter to the shitty upbringing, or should I say, the different kind of life that you have growing up in Iowa, being a weirdo, being a punk rocker, being a skateboarder, metalhead kid, whatever. And this album, to me, it's all of that on a CD or a record or cassette, whatever you bought it on. It's a good soundtrack to being upset that you live in Iowa, wondering what's going on outside of where you're at, wondering if you're ever going to escape. And when you grow up in Iowa, you have harsh winters, you have hot summers, you have the just the lack of, any kind of like cultural exposure that you really want. So you seek elsewhere for it. And when you're growing up, you want to go see these bands that you see on MTV's Headbangers Ball or 120 Minutes in real life, because you want to touch it and feel it. And what I felt that Slipknot brought to the table early on is just this visceral sort of kind of just this self-ostracization where they embodied what it was like to grow up miserable. But to each their own. I mean, it's what you make of it. I mean, they clearly have put Iowa on the map as a force to be reckoned with in extreme music, heavy music. You could split hairs, you could bicker about how mainstream they've become, how well-known they have become, but to deny the brutality of this album, Iowa, you're just lying. You're just trying to be too cool for school. You've got elements of black metal, death metal, punk rock, hardcore, groove metal, and to a lesser extent, hip hop and industrial on this album. And so being a guy that grew up relatively in the same scene in Iowa with the guys in Slipknot, I got where they were coming from. And this is a good start here record for anybody that wants to check out Slipknot. And I've always kind of felt that they were unfairly categorized as nu metal because I think when they came out, nobody really knew what to do with them. And yes, they were produced by Ross Robinson, who produced Korn and all those other bands that are synonymous with nu metal. But I guess just growing up, seeing them at hardcore shows, at punk shows, at metal shows, and stoner rock, doom, whatever shows, they just loved music. And to me, this album is definitely their love letter to what they like and their influences, and maybe a hate letter to growing up in Iowa. It packs a punch. And if you want something that is a good starter record and a good, I guess, a good definitive mix of everything that they're about, Iowa is the album that you'll want to check out. So back to you, Dustin.
All right, let's check out some of the variants of Iowa and Disasterpieces. Okay, first up, I want to check out some of the initial releases that came out on vinyl in 2001. First up, there's a notable European version. There's a cover of the album. It's a gatefold. Nothing that we haven't seen probably online floating around. And then it came with a poster too, which was super cool. It's a good look at the poster. 4 folds. Nothing crazy, just 4 panels. You know, and it's not huge. So my guess is that's somewhere around, I don't know, maybe each panel is somewhere between like 10 and 12 inches, I'm guessing, because they have to be able to fit it inside of the actual album sleeve. So I'm not for sure. I couldn't find dimensions on it, but just food for thought. And then of the ones that came out in Europe, there was a mispress that happened. Here's the cover for it. Hype sticker, obviously, versus what was on the other one, unless the first one I showed you was already taken out of the shrink. I don't know. So I don't know if all of these came with hype stickers or not. I have no clue. I couldn't find anything on it. But this version, this press of it, it's missing part of Heretic Anthem. Just missing like 2 minutes of the song. It cuts off. It's weird. Super strange. Again, gatefold. There you go. Cool looking gatefold. Moody, colorful pictures of the guys in the band. Looks cool. And then in 2022, Roadrunner started re-releasing it. They did a couple different color variants. Here it is, hype sticker. I have one of these. This is one of the ones that we're going to be opening, by the way. So just, we'll take a closer look at it once I crack this thing open. But at least wanted you guys to know that it was out there. These are pictures I got off of Discogs, by the way. So these are, probably what's in, people's collections, that sort of thing. But it's cool looking green. Kind of reminds me of that Coke bottle green that Danzig did for Satan's Child. Looks cool. I wouldn't mind a red one, not gonna lie. I think Slipknot is definitely like a red band. Some of the jumpsuits are red. There you go. But cool looking. And then that was the US version. There was a Europe version that was also that green translucent. And then the picture I found on Discogs, it's hard to tell because, pictures are usually taken with phones like this. So it could be a lighting thing as far as the difference between the 2 different shades of green. I don't know. I don't know if the pellets or the pucks that they were using to press these were vastly different colors versus what Europe ended up with and versus what happened terrestrially here in North America. So just food for thought, something to think about. Again, I couldn't find pressing numbers on these, by the way. I don't know how many got pressed. And I dug for a little while and I couldn't turn anything up. So judging by how many I'm seeing on eBay and floating around on Discogs, and the prices haven't really spiked as of me recording this video. They were all pretty affordable. Most of what I was coming across was even under like $40. So there's potential if you get in early enough on this, you can get a pretty cheap copy of it. So I don't know if they just did so many of them that it drove the price of them down on the secondary market. Who knows? But it seems like there's quite a few of them out there floating around, but I don't know the actual numbers of what was pressed. And then Europe and the United States got a clear version of it. There's the cover with the hype sticker. Seems like all of these reissue hype stickers, they're all pretty much the same thing. Silver or gray or silver grayish, whatever you want to call it, with black and white printing on it. So just heads up, I didn't come across any other variants of the hype stickers. So food for thought. But this version, it's clear. And it's a pretty good picture of it. You can see the inner sleeve, the lyric sheet underneath it too. Labels look cool. Obviously, pretty much the same as the ones that came out originally. And then, again, we had another run of them in 2023. So I don't know if this is a true second press or if they just pressed more from the first run, that the stampers from the first run. So I couldn't find the matrix numbers on this clear one versus the ones that came out in 2022. I couldn't find the matrix for them. So I don't know if they had to create new stampers and it's a true second press, or if this is just more off of the first press stampers. I hope that makes sense, but just heads up. So they could have done, my guess is that they sold a bunch and they went, oh, we can move some more. Let's do another run of them. That's what it looks like to me. But I believe, but I'm not sure, but my guess is that as far as these jackets go, if you were to check out the jackets, my guess is that the vast majority of them have the same printing year on them. So they probably did as many jackets as they could at once. And then they did a run of vinyl, probably moved through them, and they said, okay, we need to do another press of vinyl now. Like I said, if it's different stampers versus the first press, I don't know. Couldn't find the matrix numbers on them, but just food for thought. We see this in the Kiss catalog when Kiss started doing those re-releases in, what was that, 2016? It's either 2014 or 2016. All the jackets for the next couple years of those reissues, they were all the same printing years. So might be the same thing here. But again, if you get a copy, could be different. I don't know. I'm taking some guesses, educated guesses. So those are pretty neat. Roadrunner did those. It's a cool little run of them. I'd like to see at some point, maybe they do a red or some sort of a black and red swirl would be really cool to see. Or even like a splatter would be super neat. I like those splatter pressings. That there's a lot of different bands that do them. They all look really neat. And with Slipknot, I think it would look super cool, especially with kind of the color scheme of the band and obviously the intensity of the album. It seems like red would be a really, really good fit. And then CD wise, I don't want to spend a ton of time on these CDs, but I know some of you guys are into collecting CDs. So I went through and I just found some notable stuff. So this first one, this is 2001. This came out in Europe. Right there is the cover of it. So different than what we got on the LPs and most of the copies you see out there floating around. The thing that I did notice about this one was, there's the back cover of the CD, by the way. It's got the goat. And then there's the booklet. Not much to the booklet. It looks like lyrics, but I suppose that could be credits. I don't know. And then this was weird. because I think this might be the CD tray. The CD would sit over the top of this, but I wasn't able to tell if it actually was or not. So I guess if somebody from Europe sees this, let me know in the comments. And then this one was a Japanese release. There's the cover. And then insert. Cool black and white photo of the band. This is track listing. And the cool thing about this one is that it came with an extra song on it. It's a live version of Liberate from the self-titled album, I believe. That looks like, that might be the booklet unfolded. And then I think this came with a sticker. I think. I'm not positive, but I think. There wasn't a ton of notes on the listing, but I still thought it was cool to see. But like I said, I don't know for sure. And then here's a cross-sell from some other bands on the label in Japanese, obviously. And then back cover. And then I think this was the booklet in folded out. So just a wider shot of that photo that I showed you a minute ago. And now this one is a US version. This is the 10th anniversary version that came out. So this would have been 2011. So artwork is different, obviously. 10th anniversary edition right there under the title. This is I believe this is the side of the insert. Yeah. So nothing crazy different. There's the cover of the CD. So it looks similar, but there's color versus the one I have is just silver CD with black printed ink on it. And then this one, I believe, came with the DVD. So it'd be cool to see. Yeah, this is the DVD. Right there you go. Says GOAT. That's awesome. And then I thought this would be cool to check out too, because I know, for some people, cassettes are a hell of a lot more affordable than what vinyl is, so it's a way to, scratch that collecting itch. But this thing was spiking in value. So I don't know how many of these they did, but it just said limited quantities. That's all I could find on it. But I thought the red cassette looked really cool, and I thought you guys might like to check it out. But there's there's a back picture of the case, and then there's the actual cassette itself. So looks cool. Yeah, I think it looks neat. But these were going for over like $100 when I found them. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know how many they did, but yeah, it was cool to see. And then obviously Disasterpieces, the DVD. So nothing super duper crazy here. Just there's a couple of variants as far as like the actual case of the DVD goes. You can see the one I have doesn't have that little black or red and white sticker down there at the bottom of it. And mine doesn't have a hype sticker on it as well. So heads up. And then obviously Disasterpieces also came out on CD as well. So there's a good look at it. Not a lot of runs of those CDs from what I could find. They weren't doing press after press after press of them. So, I have the DVD. I'm happy with that. But I guess probably at some point I do need to buy the CD version of it too, because it'd be nice to have a hard copy of it. But they were totally affordable. I found several different copies of it for like $10 and $12. So super affordable, not a crazy investment, and you get the audio, which is really great. And the packaging is really great as well. So that's always nice to see, but super cool looking. All right, first up, the Disasterpieces DVD. Nothing crazy. This is super simple. There's the side of it. And then there's the back. Cool thing about this is it's got the show, and then it's got a bunch of videos on there. So I think it was the videos from My Plague, Left Behind, Wait and Bleed. And I think there's like an animated version of Wait and Bleed on there too. And then I think the Spit It Out video is on it. Well, yeah, it's right there. Good Lord. Yeah, it's the animated version of Wait and Bleed is on there too. So that's cool. Barcode. Super simple. You know, there's the CD trays for the DVDs. It's a cool logo. Got all the guys in the band. And if you put the CD in there, put the DVD in there right, the arrows line up with the names of the guys in the band, which, that's cute. Yeah, nothing crazy here. But still a cool thing to have in your collection. All right, here's the big one. Now, this is a foil cover. It's very reflective, so I'm going to try to avoid the light shining and the ceiling fan and camera reflection being on the cover of it the whole time. So this might get a little tricky, but we'll do our best. Anyway, hype sticker, boom. Cool cover of the album. It's got a goat. I think that's awesome. There's the back cover, shadow goat, or goat shadow, whatever you want to call it. The thing I did notice about this is that the shrink wrap, it's kind of loose. I thought that was interesting. You know, I don't know if maybe it's been tossed around a record bin. I bought it off somebody on Discogs. Couldn't find it on the Roadrunner store, the Slipknot store. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, seeing the shrink wrap like that. But let's get this thing open. We got Grandma Lytle's trusty paring knife that was passed down to me. I know I've had this in a lot of episodes of Vinyl Thursday. Somebody was joking about it on the Music the Lifeblood Facebook a while back. And it's always cool. I always like it when the people that watch the show, you know, shows they're paying attention, which I think is cool. It's always a good feeling to know that people are into what you're doing, even if it is just something with your grandma's paring knife. All right, let's get this thing off. So this is one of the 2022 pressings, by the way. I looked at the original first pressings from way back in 2001 were steep. They were not going for cheap, that's for damn sure. Be cool to have one, but I can live with this one. Pretty dang happy with it. From what I could find looking around online, it seems like everybody was pretty happy with the sound quality of this thing. So that's a good sign. All right, so everybody knows I keep the hype stickers because hype stickers are part of the total package. It's just one more thing that makes the vinyl experience awesome. Trim this up a little bit. So I'm wondering, do you guys keep your hype stickers too? Or do you just pull it off with the shrink and pitch it and you're done with it? Kind of curious how you guys do stuff. I guess. Give me a comment down below. I always like hearing from you guys. Occasionally I'll check videos, older videos, in case I've missed comments. And yeah, I miss quite a few over the years, and I'll go back and somebody asks me a question, I'll answer a question from like 2 years ago, but you know, it's the thought that counts, I guess. But so here's a good look. That hype sticker. Super cool looking. The Slipknot logo is, that's a good logo. You know, I think when you think of really great band fonts and logos, you know, Iron Maiden is one of those bands you think of, or the Misfits and Judas Priest. And, you know, it's hard to get a good logo or a good band name. Slipknot is a good band name, especially for what they're doing. It's cool looking. But I thought it was neat. Iowa was printed bigger than the actual band logo, which, it's interesting to see. It's cool. Limited edition translucent green vinyl. Again, sorry I couldn't get you guys pressing numbers. I looked and I looked and I looked and I couldn't find anything concrete. But if I find something in the process of editing this video, I'll put it in the notes below the actual video itself. Give you guys a quick update, but that's an awesome cover. And I love that it's foil. I love this metallic thing. It's awesome. I would imagine the printing costs and the actual cost of the cover, I bet it's steep. But it's all part of that artistic vision. That's one of the things I do like about Slipknot is that I think a lot of that stuff seems to emanate from Clown. Sean, he's one of the percussionists in the band. He seems to be kind of a lot of that visual and artistically driven stuff above and beyond the music. A lot of it seems to emanate from him. He's one of those, he strikes me as one of those, almost a savant in his dedication to his art form or his avenues of art that he pursues, whether it's photography or just the overall look of the band or live performances. The dude is really committed to it, and I've got a lot of respect in that regard. I think he has a lot to do with not only the visuals of Slipknot, but the idea of Slipknot, I think would be a good way to put it. And, you know, you got to have guys like that in your band. If you don't, sometimes things don't go as far as you would want them to. But kudos to him. Kind of a visionary type. But, all right, let's open this thing up. Oh, wow. I was not expecting the inside to be foil printed too. And it's hard to see on the camera. Give you a little bit of a close up, but you can see all that printing. It's different numbers. You know, it's cool. It's super cool. I had no idea the gatefold was going to be a foil print. Again, sorry about the reflection, guys. I'm trying to reduce it as much as I possibly can, but it's in the mid 80s today, and I didn't want to turn the fan off in here because it's going to get sweltering hot, but that's a cool looking gatefold, man. And on top of that, you got the 9-pointed star. I was thinking about it the other day. You know, what's my favorite mask out of all the guys on this album? And I still think I like Jim's mask quite a bit. It's got the jester looking thing going on. And Chris's mask. It's kind of half a masquerade ball mask, half BDSM zipper thing. But they're all cool. Yeah, that's an awesome gatefold. Man, that's cool as hell. All right, so let's pull the LPs out. And then before we set this cover to the side, just so you guys can see it. Not always easy to see, but if if you look at it, see if you can see right there, you can see the folds, the tabs that are on the inside of this that allows you to glue, one side to the other in that regard. Those are long. Sometimes you get jackets where those little tabs in there, they're considerably shorter and they don't hold up over time. The glue will come loose because there's not enough surface area to keep it held down. And what will happen over time is that the actual album covers themselves will start to come undone. So, kudos for Roadrunner or whoever made the decision in the band or management to say, hey, let's, make sure we have plenty of surface area to make sure these are glued down. So I don't know if there's an industry standard. It seems like I ought to know that, but I've never really dug into it. But all I know is that sometimes you'll get album sleeves that little fold over in there just isn't quite, wide enough. And it causes the cover to degrade. So just food for thought. But this cover, there's some thickness to it. There's some weight to it. It's sturdy. And then on top of that too, this print job is phenomenal, guys. It looks incredible. It looks amazing. Yeah, high quality. And I just noticed this. See that? Everything ends. Everything ends. Everything never ends. Cool little nod to the album. That's neat. From a design, standpoint, that's awesome. What a good little tidbit. Super awesome. I love finding little small things like that. There you go. No reflection there. God, that's cool. What a good idea. Wonder if that was a Sean thing. Who knows? Okay. Let's make sure there wasn't anything else in there. Just to be safe. Be 100% for sure. Cool. Okay. So, doesn't look like these came with the poster, but I'm okay with that. I still think I got a really good deal. So, make sure they're pointed the same way. So, side 3. Hold on. Let's do side 1. Okay. So, boom. Track listing, side 1 and 2. Looks like we're doing some algebra. Maybe a little bit of calculus. I don't know. All I know is that I'm terrible at math. But, hey, I'm with it. And there's the other side. The embryo. I'm assuming that's an embryo of a goat. But I don't know. All I do know is that it looks cool as hell. Here's lyrics for side 3 and 4. And then credits. So worth mentioning too, so the album was produced by Ross Robinson, obviously. And I believe it was engineered by Mike Frazier. Yeah, Mike Frazier, right there. And then mixed by Andy Wallace, who Andy Wallace is fucking fantastic when it comes to mixing. And then there's some management stuff. And then the other thing I want to highlight is that it was mastered by George Marino at Sterling Sound, right there. That guy, if anyone is going to master your record, that's the dude you want to do it. The sheer amount of amazing albums that he has had his name on from a mastering standpoint. Off the charts. Off of the goddamn charts. Phenomenal at what he does. His mastering suit at Sterling Sound, I know there's a couple different ones. I think he's got like an A, B, and C suit, or 1, 2, and 3, whatever it is. But it's legendary. The sound quality in those rooms that you'll hear. Occasionally I'll come across an engineer that worked with him or a band that worked with him. And the one thing I always come across when it comes to industry people's opinion of his skill, he's the Omega level guy when it comes to making records sound absolutely incredible. So why I think it's worth mentioning with a band like Slipknot is that, like I said earlier, there's 9 unique moving parts to Slipknot. And not only the aggressive nature of this album, but the chaotic nature of this album. So it takes like an audiophile genius Omega level person to be able to, or persons, plural, to be able to make an album like this come together. And I think that's part of the reason I have so much respect for Iowa and just Slipknot in general. I have a ton of respect for these guys. I think they work hard. I think they're dedicated to their craft. And on top of that too, I think they've never skimped on the artistry of what they're doing. Is it everyone's thing? No. Not everyone is going to like Slipknot. Just the same as not everybody likes Danzig or the bands I listen to, Judas Priest or the Hives or whatever the case is. But the amount of effort it took to create this album is astounding. It's like the musical equivalent of building the pyramids in Egypt. You know, just a crushing biblical level of effort had to go in to making this album what it was. From Mick or Jim or whoever writing a riff that turns into a song, or, you know, Craig or Sid putting together some weird, you know, flurry of manipulated sounds that sparked an idea for a song, or, you know, Joey and Sean and Chris in a live setting, you know, figuring out how things are going to work from a percussion standpoint, all the way to designing this cover, the people that worked at the pressing plant to make sure that the stampers worked right, and to be able to get the colored vinyl, whether it was the pucks or pellets that they're using. Just, you think of all the different moving parts that created this album or any album, you know, it doesn't matter. But the fact that Slipknot has 9 fucking people in the band, so many points of intersection that it's staggering. It's staggering that all of those things were able to converge into one singular point that, boom, you get this album. Just fucking phenomenal. Incredible. Incredible what some bands can do. Just absolutely amazing. Wow. Staggering. But anyway, George Marino. If you need your record mastered, that's the guy you want to talk to for sure. There's some other credits. All music and lyrics written, arranged, and performed by Slipknot, published by EMI April Music, Inc. Music, That Music, ASCAP, Worldwide Management, blah, 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 blah. And then there's some other random credits down there. Websites. And then I thought this was cool. I saw this, a picture of this. Sing Crazy Shit to Slipknot, 8657 Douglas Avenue, number 250, Urbandale, Iowa, 50322. And I'd be willing to guarantee that there's people that saw that and went, oh shit. You know, Somebody could be sending them cookies. Somebody else could be I don't know, roadkill, whatever the case is, you know, but I think it's cool. This is neat. Equation, noun, the act or process of being equal. A mathematical statement expressing the equality of two quantities, usually shown as an equal sign. I'm telling you, we're doing some math. And then to all the maggots around the world, thank you for your support. Yeah, like I said earlier, Slipknot, they have a long history of really showing some affinity and gratitude with their fans. Not all bands do that. Not all bands are accessible, you know? You know, you never see B-roll footage on, you know, rock websites and things like that of the guys in Slipknot being jerks to people in an airport or something like that. You know? All of that in toto sort of, it paints a picture of the band. And when bands are good to their fans, man, that makes stuff even more cool. Makes you like the band even more. Especially a band that at that level that Slipknot are at. So, cool. And then, awesome picture of the band. Sorry, try to get rid of that glare. Sorry, guys. It's cool. Sid looks like he's pontificating on something. Wonder what it is. It's cool. And we got a little blurb up here. So understand this. This has never been a popularity contest. The people we care for and work with know who they are and how we feel about them. Slipknot has never been into name dropping. So we dedicate this album to the ones that matter the most, our crazy fans and maggots all over the world. Stay sick fuckers. Slipknot. That's awesome. That's super cool. Okay, so let's check out the actual vinyl. So I got the translucent green. You guys ready? Ta-da! So let's do side one. Yeah. Feels like, it's not 180 gram, feels like 110. But if it, I mean, good Lord, if it was 180 gram, do you know how much the price would go up with this thing? It'd be nuts. So I understand that. I'll take a backlit image of it, throw it up here so you guys can see what it looks like. I know you guys really like those blacklit images. Or backlit. Blacklit. This might glow under a black light. Who knows? But, wow. Super cool. Here's side two. It's got the S logo and the 9-pointed star. Came out great. Okay. So let's do side 3 and 4. Boom. Do side 3 first. Yeah. Yeah, this thing came out great. Again, we'll do a backlit photo of this one too. Definitely feels like 110 grams. It's not flimsy. So I've talked about it tons of times on Vinyl Thursday. Occasionally you get really thin vinyl and it'll like, whoa, 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 if you wiggle it. And, when it's sturdy and rigid and thick like this, it's another indicator that it's going to hold up over time, and it's going to, it's going to have some durability. That's the important part. That label is super cool. Check that thing out. There you go. I love how simple that label is. Stark, black and white, high contrast image. It's cool. Then there's side 4. Curious if the guys in the band collect vinyl. I mean, you would assume that Sid does just because he's a DJ and he's, he's probably got a couple copies of Walk This Way by Aerosmith so he can do some break beats, stuff like that, which I like Sid, man. I think he's got a lot of heart. He gives it his all. Dude broke his ankles performing because he would just go with bonkers and took too high of a jump that he shouldn't have. That takes dedication, and I'm into that. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, man, this came out great. I'm not going to lie, it would have been cool to get a poster, like with the original runs of them, but at the same time too, it definitely would have drove up the price, and the original cost of these, it wasn't too bad. And even on the secondary market, it's still not that bad, I think I'm good with this package, especially factoring in that it came with a hype sticker as well. This is a good package for me. It's like a Slipknot Happy Meal. You got everything that counts there. Obviously, when you're a vinyl collector, you're always after the premiums that come along with album releases, with stickers, buttons, posters, all that kind of stuff. But I think the thing to think about is the culture that surrounds bands. Obviously in every fan community, you're going to get people that act like jerks. For sure. It's going to happen. But I think the culture around the band and their fans, for all intent and purposes, it looks pretty damn healthy to me. I think I got on Reddit. Occasionally I get on Reddit doing research about, the episodes and things like that. And I got on Reddit and I was just checking out some of the chatter between the people in this big Reddit group for Slipknot, and the chatters seem to all be super positive. And I even had a question that I dropped, into the fray of that Reddit group, and the people that answered it were super cool about it. No one was a jerk just to be a jerk. So that's awesome. That's fucking incredible to be able to run into that when a band has a healthy fan community, a robust but healthy and let's say overly positive mentality out and about in the fan community. I think that really makes a big difference. I think they're a genuinely grateful band, which good for them. Because it's easy to get jaded in that kind of environment. It's a good thing, in my opinion. So kudos to them. All right, one last look at the cover. Bam. Gatefold again. God, this silver came out great. Wow. Yeah, this came out great. A lot of really great design work in here. Take one last look. cool inner sleeve. These inner sleeves are thick too, by the way. These are not flimsy. These are like photo paper thickness, which that's an awesome investment for Roadrunner and the band to have put into this package. Side 3. Side 4. Sorry about the glare, guys. There's one sleeve. There's that awesome picture of the band. Man, what a good album. Awesome album. Pillar album in post-millennial metal. There's a reason so many people love this album. Man, it's awesome. All right, folks, that's it for this edition of Vinyl Thursday. Do you love Iowa? Have you watched Disasterpieces? What's your favorite song? Have you seen Slipknot live? Who wears your favorite mask? What's your favorite mask? All these questions and many more, let us know in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button if you want. I don't care. I'm doing this because I love it. Do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. All right. We'll see you next time. Iowa.
Hey, get that guy out of here. The guy with the nose. Look at the guy with the nose. See? No, I'm not going to sign it. Beat it. Whatever, dude. What?